Monica walk by in her underwear or something.
Hey, we're on. Thanks, Joe. I'm so glad to have everyone here with us today. Welcome to the Dice Tower daily chat. With me today is Joe Steadman, and we're taking questions. We're talking to people, and we're gonna have a good time. And if you have any questions, ask them, and we may answer them to you. I don't answer everything if you come on board here because sometimes we get asked the same questions over and over again. So it's your time to ask interesting, unique, different questions. It's been a good day. I got some new games reviewed. I got some new games played. I played the Marvel Infinity Gauntlet game over the weekend, which was pretty fun. And that's like the love letter, but for Marvel. But it's not called love letter because that would be stupid. Okay, here's a question. Have you got any better at predicting gooders over the year?
What the world's a gooder? Is this a Turkey Toms and Joey Jumpers?
Well, I think it's like a game that's actually I don't know what a gooder is. I enjoy watching what we're looking forward to this year compared to the end of the list. Sure. So basically, I think have we got better at predicting games we will like? For me, no. I still get fooled all the time, usually negatively. If you look at my most anticipated games of each year or of SN or whatever, I'm consistently have some pretty bad games that manage to show up in there.
I'm the opposite. I think my taste have broadened since the old days. I'm constantly getting surprised that I like a game that I won't think that I'll like. Remember, like, you showed me Root. I was like, what in the world? I'm not playing this silly game.
That's
with
true.
The bunnies and but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So
a gooder is a good or better game. Oh. Huh. This is a gooder hat. I'm going to start using this phraseology here. Okay. Joe, what's the best game you've played since your return to gaming? I'll say to you game, not a game you already knew you liked.
The trick-taking game I just got in the mail a few days ago.
The Crew?
It's one of my Crew. I like the Crew a lot. Yeah. And Dark Side Rising. We bought that too. I had it shipped from England. It's a cooperative game, and I like it.
I am likely going to be playing Dark Side Rising at my solo marathon this coming. I have not played that one yet. I played Infinity or Thanos Rising. From what I understand, they're pretty much the same game.
Theme so much better. Who cares about Thanos? Star Wars is way better than Marvel retardedness.
All right. Let's talk about top 10 memories of Tom Vassell. But let's not do that in a sense. Let's talk about some of our memories from Korea, like some interesting things. One of the things that people don't realize that me and Joe would do all the time, besides ride a scooter that was made for a person half of both our sizes, and we rode it together.
Dumb and Dumber.
It really was. No, but one of the things that people don't realize is, like, people in America complain when they have to travel 20 minutes to go to something. And me and Joe would get in a taxi or a bus, travel for 10, 15 minutes to get to the subway station, then travel an hour plus to go down into Seoul. Sometimes we just wander around.
Yeah.
And sometimes we would go to a game meetup or whatever. But those are good because we would talk the whole way there, the whole way back. We spent a lot of time together just doing that. Traveling. Mm-hmm. Were you there when my bag got left on the train? It happened twice. Once your bag got left on the train.
Yep. Yeah, I did.
Or your wife's bag. That was worse because it had like a passport in it, I think.
Wife didn't lose the passport. Yeah. I thought we lost a baby bag once too.
And then I left my games on the train one time, but someone got off and brought them back to us.
Remember my motorcycle got stolen? We went to the subway, we came back, and it was gone.
That is true.
Remember my scooter got stolen?
Well.
Can you imagine me and you trying to ride a scooter now?
Well, see, I wouldn't try. That would be part of it.
Would you climb on the back of the scooter with me?
Yeah, but I remember how cold it was in the Korean winter doing that, and I was like, "Why are we doing this?"
To play board
But then
games.
Joe got a little van, which was
Yeah,
really small, and for some
you could
reason
touch
he installed a horn in it that a truck owner would be glad to have.
a big air horn. Yeah.
So whenever we were cutting somebody off, because there was one time where Joe cut somebody off. I remember this distinctly. He cut them off, and then they pulled out in front of us. This happens occasionally. They pulled in front, and the guy got out and came over storming. And he looked, and it was just a van full of Joe and me and a bunch of military guys. And he went back and got in his car and drove off.
Quick left. Yeah. 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 I remember a lot late nights playing board games and not being able to get up to go to work in the morning very well.
Yeah, that's one thing I've really changed
Twilight
on.
Imperium.
But I mean, I've changed on
It's
that.
like 11 o'clock at.
Sure, but I've changed on that in general. I used to go to bed consistently in Korea around 1 or 2 o'clock. And I can't even imagine doing that now. It's just too, I don't know. If I stay up past midnight, I'm an old man.
I have to go to bed because I've got all these kids at home.
That's true. Kids keep you on schedule. What memorable games did we play together in Korea? I'll never forget the very first. Well, I'm not talking about those games, but the very first time we played Citadels. I don't know if you remember. You, me,
Yeah.
and Sam. We took a train up to Seoul. I don't even remember why.
We
just
played
went.
with Shin. We met Shin, right? It was when we met Shin.
Yeah, he came down and taught us this game. We played it, and we were just our minds were just like, "What is this game?" And we played it in a game cafe, and that also blew our minds that such a thing existed. That was I just remember that game a lot. I also remember, well, I remember the yelling incident, the diplomacy incident, the TI-4 thing. Of course, there was like
What
three
about
of those. But
the
we had a
Tiger-
lot of good games.
The Tiger Euphrates game that was a nail biter to the very end. 4 real good players. That was really fun.
That's true. We had a friend named Bob who lived down in Seoul, and he had a really nice apartment.
He's still our friend. He comes to all the cruise and everything.
Okay, I didn't mean to make it sound like he's gone. I'm
not
sorry.
Might
We
be-
have a friend, and we met him in Korea, and we would go down to his house and play games. It was a really great time.
Yeah.
Oh, someone says I thought Tom would introduce who Joe is at the start. Joe is the first co-host of the Dice Tower. And
No, I started the Dice Tower. Tom was my co-host.
yes, yeah, that's not even a little true. So, no, I don't remember how the podcast thing. I think I mentioned it to Joe, and he was like all on board it. And then I brought him a script, and he was kind of like, "Why do we need a script?" I said, "Because we got to stay on topic." And I remember distinctly saying that we should do a top 10 because that just sounded like a good way to start out, right? I was influenced by the Apples project that Mark Jackson had run. Remember that? They like listed the best in different categories. So then we did that too.
Yep. And I was want to do a bunch of segments and sound effects and all this. And I think you still do some of those things, but not much. It's not the same show at all.
Let's see here. Tom, I was an Army dependent between 62 and 64. I was not quite alive at that point. We lived off base for a year with no automobile, rice paddies outside the back door. One thing about Korea is the rate Korea has changed would astound anybody who's been there. I left it and went back after like 7 years, and it astounded me the changes that have been in Korea. And from what I hear, it was even more so when you were in the military there, and then when you went back as a teacher, it was fairly different.
Yeah, I was there in 94 and 95 as a soldier. And it was a lot different than when I came back when me and you were there. And then I can't imagine what it's like now.
Game cafes or stores? I like cafes, I think. The problem I have with game cafes is sometimes they're not well lit, especially if they're like a pub type thing. And that's just awful on my eyes. playing a game.
With cafes, you get to buy coffee, and there's like nice people that walk around and talk to you, and there's servers. And in game stores, it's just guys playing Magic in the corner.
Sure, it all depends on the game store itself, right?
The game store's got to keep itself open, which is through Magic, basically.
Sure.
At least around where
I like both, I guess. Here's the question. He says, "You like trains or planes?" Hey, I told you I asked the questions. I'll tell you this, hands down, I love trains. Well, again, this goes back to Korea. We rode the subway train all the time, it starts as a train, turns into a subway, but we also rode the high-speed trains sometimes to another city. Those things are so comfortable compared to a plane. We could play a game on those things.
Speaking of how much the country changed, when I was there as a soldier in the 90s, we would take a train from the TDC area up by the DMC, like an actual train, and we'd hang off the back, like in a movie or something. That's how much it changed, because they didn't have that when we were there. It was an actual real subway, doors and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just liked riding a train. We would just sit and talk for a really long time. Like I said, an airplane is just a different atmosphere. The trains were fun. People get on, get off. Let's see here. This is Joe. He needs no introduction, Steadman.
Must be my son.
Mom wants you to check your phone, Father. Let's see here. My local game cafe, you go to the counter to order and they bring your food to you. It's well lit, friendly. Sure. And again, I'm not even opposed to the ones that aren't well lit. It's just that I like to play games. And I do like them to bring the food to you. I like that whole concept. Although, sometimes it depends who you're playing with. I don't know that I necessarily want to always eat food while playing a game. Like, at my game store, they allow outside food in. And if someone comes in with a bunch of food, I'm like, you know what? Go ahead and finish that.
Yeah.
There's no rush.
I remember we'd eat food by our games all the time. Remember the bag of Frito incident when we had the Frito fingers? It was the military guy. He had a big bag of Fritos, and we were playing a game, and you were like, stop, and you like took the snacks away because he had greasy fingers, and he was.
Well, I was a little bit more anal back then, I think, for sure. No, it's not so much that. But when we did that, and this was something that was really fun that we did at our church. Our church wanted to do something for soldiers. So every Saturday they had a dinner that was free that soldiers could just come to. And not a ton of soldiers came, but several soldiers came. And me and Joe went every week, and we took games.
Yeah. And I also went on base every week and had a board game thing on base as well. But we played mostly war games. I don't think you went to that very often, did you? We played like Axis and Allies and Risk. I met guys right there at on Camp Red Cloud. Did you ever do that with us?
Yeah,
we played War. We also played.
Actually, once you left, I started a full-time thing. I got a guy to hook me up on it. I started a game club.
Oh, nice.
I actually have to sign for that somewhere
we did
around here. Huh?
We played a lot of 40K on Camp Red Cloud too. Remember we go down to Seoul and we meet those war gamers at Yongsan Garrison?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that guy? What was his name? I can't remember now.
His name was Tom. I know this for sure. So there was this guy named Tom who lived off base. I don't even know what his job was. I think he was a contractor for the military.
Oh, his house. You're going to talk about his house.
We went to his house because he would go on base during the game meetups. And I went to one with Joe. And he would sell Magic cards. And I went there because he sold cardboard boxes, which you couldn't find anywhere else in Korea. We also bought some Major League Sports clicks from him. And so we went to his house one time. I don't remember what the thing was. He was like, come to my house. We walked into his house, and it was like if you had gone to the house of the comic book guy from Simpsons. He had these... like the toys that some people have, but they were everywhere. Then he's like, you guys got to sit down and watch a movie. And so he made us watch Plan B from Outer Space, which I'd never heard of before.
Yes. Same here. We were both.
He kept giving commentary the whole movie. And also, if I can be somewhat indelicate, his house was not necessarily spotless.
No, it was filthy.
And me and Joe were trying to think.
We shouldn't say. I just remember his name. So it was not Tom. His name was. I just remembered his name. I'm not going to say it because you just said we were making fun of his house.
Okay, maybe it wasn't Tom. I thought his name was Tom. Anyhow, So I was trying to
First
think how are we going to get out of this situation?
Walt.
I didn't want to. Be rude and leave in the middle of this movie, but I was just there to buy some sports clicks.
Yeah, we were there over an hour.
Yeah, and finally I was like, "Oh, we got to get going," because we did have to get going.
Do you remember the toy gun store we went to with me, you, and Sam? They had models of toy guns and all that, and sold like in some dark alley as a model store, and they're all dusty. You remember this?
I do
And we
remember
were in,
that. We just happened to
I
come
found
across it.
Yeah, there was a real gun behind the counter, and I pulled it out and I popped the magazine out, and I'm like, this is a real gun. And I put it back together, and then the guy came out and he's like, he was like a mafia dude. He's like, you all need to leave. Like in Korean, he kicked us out of the store. Like they haven't sold a model in that store probably in 10 years. Everything was dusty. Remember that?
I do remember that. I don't remember the real gun part, but that's because I try to block that sort of thing from my head. Alrighty. Someone just said they have a really nice game cafe that went out of business. That's the case. If you think about it this way, restaurants, the percentage of restaurants that go out of business is extremely high. And a game cafe is a restaurant. So it can't be games first. It's got to be food first, and you got to sell the food, and it's a hard gig.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Joe, what did you do in the Army in Korea?
I spent my first year there as a artillery fort observer and my last year as a tanker. Exciting stuff. Actually, what I really did in Korea was just drink a lot. Pre-Christian days.
Some guy named Bob says, hey, I knew better than to bring Fritos to a game session. You know what Bob did, though, that has cost me financially over the years is he introduced us to good sushi. I had never eaten sushi before because my dad thought it was stupid and he didn't want to eat it, so I just never ate it. It didn't look that appetizing, and Bob gave us sushi that is still better than pretty much anything I think I've ever had.
It is Bob. It is our Bob.
Yes, I know.
Oh. Sorry. Snack
Joe,
Daddy
has
Bob.
anyone spilled a drink on your game?
Yes. I was at an ASL convention, and I had a guy spill a whole can of soft drink on my ASL stuff. And he ruined a bunch of counters, so he ended up buying... He on his own, he went out and bought me a replacement set like of that particular module. It's pretty shocking.
Yeah, I can't get... I mean, when that stuff happens, it doesn't make you feel good, but it's hard to get too upset over that because that stuff just happens.
Oh. Remember we were playing the Air Barons game, and the guy, we had styrofoam cups for the random chip full. Remember it? And the guy started putting his cardboard shits into his coffee. And he thought it was funny, but that was like a 1980s game, and those pieces were ruined when they went into that coffee cup.
Well, no, I didn't. I mean, I thought it was kind of funny at the time, but I didn't think that it was funny he destroyed the game. That was the same game where I yelled at the guy, so that's kind of what I remember about that one.
Yeah.
Now the guy.
His name was Tom. The guy you yelled at.
That was Tom. I was gonna say that guy's name was Tom. Wasn't this Tom? Alrighty. A&A is the best game ever, says Jeff Steadman.
That's my brother, so don't listen to him.
Well, I will ask him questions later on. Let's see. Which one of you can jump higher? What kind of question is that? I'm assuming Joe. He's probably in better shape than me. Let's see here. What is ASL? That's a good question. It's American Sign Language.
No, it is the best game ever created. It's an advanced squad leader.
I'm not even sure you believe that.
I do believe that.
You think it's your favorite game?
By far. My second favorite game is one of your bottom games, though. Diplomacy.
Yeah, you have really bad taste.
Nah.
Anyway, go ahead. Continue to tell people what ASL is.
It's Advanced Squad Leader. It's a tactical World War II squad level simulation game that's got a hardcore following of a small group of people. Maybe, I would say there's less than 10,000 people in the world that play the game, but they're very devoted. There's conventions, about a dozen conventions a year, the rank play. It's a game that's very unforgiving, and it's got a very thick rule book, but it's pretty amazing.
10,000 seems high, Joe. You know,
No, over.
it's really weird though. You know these games that came out ASL and all those um, Avalon Hill games. They sold like 50 to 100,000 copies of those games back in the day. I can't even imagine one of those games. They struggle to get 500 on GMT sometimes. You know, and then
Uh,
GMT will end up, you know, eventually it'll get to 12, 1,300, and they'll print 3,000. But they're not printing
G-
100,000.
GMT just does modern GMT just does a lot of small print runs. It's
Sure, but
just what
almost all publishers do small print runs. A game that sells more than 3,000 is a pretty big deal. Joe, do you like painting miniatures?
I do. I've not done it in years. It's a lot of fun. I have a large 40K army. I've got thousands of orcs, and I like orking them up, putting little bits on them and making them orky. Tom used to paint, not very well though.
Thank you. This just keep
This
this
is
thing
how
going
Tom
here.
paints. This is how
Huh?
Tom paints a miniature. This is how you paint a miniature. You dunk the feet, you dunk the head, and you brush the middle. 3 colors. It's standard for tournament play. That's how Tom paints miniatures.
No, actually, that's not too far off. I would spray paint them one color, so done. Then I would
Hmm.
paint like the guns silver because I wanted to, you know, so that was I was like, oh, I can do that, and then I might paint their hat a color.
But then you did something purple. You always have like purples, pastel colors, because you played Eldar.
They were this color red initially. It's really weird though because you met me, and when I first met Joe, I thought for sure that he wasn't a gamer at all. He just didn't come across as a gamer. And so
Good.
he was over at our house. We were just talking, and I mentioned Warhammer, and he was like, "Oh, I like Warhammer," and I was like, "What?" Because to me, that's like a buzzword. If you know Warhammer, then you're like a nerd, and he didn't look like a nerd. And
Yeah.
but the thing was, Joe met me at the almost bottom trail of me playing Warhammer. I was almost done with it at that point.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Joe who chased me out. It was a couple games with Sam, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we both got into board games because we played Axis and Allies, and we were looking for more. It was me, Joe, Ryan, and Sam. And so we were looking for games, and me and Joe were the ones, I guess, who had to buy them all. I don't know that Sam and Ryan almost bought any games. They just played our games. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Joe and I made a pact that we would buy these games. We made this big order online, and we went like on Board
Is that
Game
because
Geek, and I
how
bought
do we
Puerto
do that?
Rico. Huh?
Not tell our wives? Do we just not tell our wives, or we just sneak around and do like because those the old days, like because you had to have it shut. Remember, you had to have it shipped to Korea, and you had customs, and
It was
PayPal was
expensive.
fairly. Yeah. How do we even do?
I didn't hide
Yeah.
it from my wife. I want to be clear on that. I might not
Well,
have told her when I ordered it. They just showed
my
up.
wife actually, Monica gave me a board game budget back in the early days. Like I was allowed to spend so much per month on board games because during the Dice Tower era, I was spending these giant orders, and she stopped. She's like, "No, you can do like $50 a month or something, whatever it was." It was, yeah,
Well, it was years. I mean, I bought too many games too. Like probably a lot of people get in the hobby. I bought a lot of games at the beginning. I mean, once the review copies happened, but that was years before that happened. I was still buying games for a long time. That was not
Yeah.
a wise move on my part.
and then you left them all in Korea.
I did leave a good chunk of the games in Korea. I brought a lot back. There's almost no game I left in Korea that I regret leaving there. I
Tenjo.
Today, Tenjo would be a Kickstarter.
Yeah, and you give it to me. You send it to me to review.
I would, actually. So Nick says, Tom and Joe, do you both have shorthand nicknames for each other that may have come out of epic game sessions back in the day? Nothing above PG, please. Well, no, first of all, there was no name. I don't think we ever called each other anything other than... He called me Vassal.
No, I called for gaming. No, I called you Random Gamer or Mr. Teacher. Tom, the most irritating thing about playing with Tom is he doesn't care. Wait, if you're just me and him playing, he's very competitive and he wants to beat me. But if there's a group, he wants the social environment. He wants to try a new strategy. Let me try this crazy new idea and see if I can win this game. Or let me just, or worst thing that Tom does, 5-player game. I'm looking forward to playing Tom. We have a competitive game. Someone else walks up. Oh, do you want to play? And then Tom will walk away.
Okay. I know that I've actually irritated other people doing that too, and I don't mean to. It's just I hate when people don't play games. Yeah, for that competitive spirit, you just got to get into it.
If it's a competitive game, maybe it's a party game or a fun game, I don't care. I'm the same way. But when it's a game that takes more than an hour, you better be invested in that game because otherwise you irritate me.
Yeah, there's for sure one of Joe's hot button topics is a random gamer. And we'll leave specific people's names out of this one. Because I know who you're thinking of here. You're two specific people. One near and dear to me.
But she always wins, the one that's near and dear to you. Oh, I don't even know what I'm doing. And then wins every time. Oh, ploy.
Yeah, no, that was a good time. Did you leave the Ticket to Ride prototype in Korea? I don't know if I did or not. I don't think so. I think I brought it back. I don't know. Maybe I did. If you could only get... no, I'm tired of that. That's asking. Why do you two love each other more than your own wives? I feel like this...
Don't answer.
Don't
Steady
answer
Joey is my son.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
We're being trolled by my family.
It's even wearing a troll mask there. Alrighty.
Yeah.
I've been trolled on your behalf. Now, it was a weird thing because when Joe and I met, we actually... So in Korea, people don't realize where we taught. We taught at Hagwons, they're called. They're English institutes. And they're very... This is like one of the secrets, I guess, that people don't know about out of Korea. They're extremely competitive. Like cutthroat competitive because it's good money for the schools. So they're competitive for students on one. But they're also competitive for teachers. It's really difficult to persuade someone to leave their home country, America, and go to Korea and teach. This is like almost every Hagwon I know, a good chunk of their time is spent finding teachers. So when Joe came, he taught for what was essentially a rival school, for sure.
Yeah, definitely rival school.
The boss of his school, who's still in Korea, did not like the boss of my school, who I may know through other means. And the feeling was quite mutual. So when Joe came in, it was kind of like, okay, well, we can hang out with him a little bit, but he's in that other school. And then we started hanging out a ton, and we would both like complain about our mutual schools to each other. A little bit.
I feel like in life you get so many friends, and for whatever reason, fate made me and you friends years ago, and you're still my friend. We've tried to be not friends many times. But in Korea, I think we played a few games together, but really it was the long conversations and just talking about everything under the bridge for hours upon hours that made us friends.
Yeah, it was a good... those years, when I look back at those years, they seem so long ago, but they also seem so long. Because Joe left his Hagwon after a year and a half or something. I don't remember exactly.
6 months.
It was that
I was
fast?
only in Kunsan 6 months. Yeah.
Huh. And then he went up and he kept telling me, I have this great new job at this great school. And I was like, yeah. Lucky for you. And I went and visited him once, and I really liked it too. And I was like, see if you can get me a job here, you know. And we did. We got me a job, and so I moved up. And then Sam came up after me. And then when we were there, that was only a period of like 3 years. But me and my wife have both agreed that it is possibly the best years of our life. Because there was so little of anything that was like outside coming in. So, for example, you know, we would get up, we'd go, we would teach at our school, we'd teach, we'd work, we'd finish up our classwork, which wasn't that hard. And then we would just go to one of our two houses likely and play games. And then on the weekend, we would sometimes go down to Seoul. Sometimes we'd do the thing at church with the military guys. Sunday we did church. But like every night, we were just kind of super chill. There just wasn't a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think that at the time. We didn't think how chill it was till now I look back at that and I'm like, man, I really miss that sometimes because we just didn't have a lot going on.
It's back when I still like my kids, too.
You've been stuck with them in a house for a long time here.
Yeah. Why is my whole family on chat?
So I'm noticing that.
My wife is even in here now. Oh my goodness.
Joe, are you boosting the viewers by making your family watch? um, so if you were to open a new two-player game, says this young lady named Monica, unfamiliar to both, who would read the rules and teach the other?
Tom would read the rules and try to teach me, and I would say the whole time, "Let's just play. Let's just play. Let's just play."
That is not incorrect. I have a real problem. I hate being taught games. So
yeah.
What's your favorite game you played this week? Have you played a game this past week?
Yeah. I played. What game did I play? I played. I just reviewed it. Matter of fact, it was posted on Thursday. I played it a lot. Skies Over the Reich, a solo game. That was an amazing game. And we also played this. My kids and my wife played Subtext. It looked kind of. I don't know if I like it. Did you like it? Subtext.
I gotta look this one up.
This is the Vonnecourt game.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I played that one actually. Yeah, Z reviewed that one, not me. The one I like the best. Well, I just played it tonight with my family before I came on here, and that's Detective Club. That's a great party game. It's. Have you seen Dixit? The cards in Dixit.
Mm-hmm.
Those funky, weird cards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that, but one person puts a clue down. So my clue might be ugly, and I write that clue and I give it to everybody except one person, and then everyone plays cards in front of them, and then you have to explain. Oh, I think, did we play this on the cruise?
Yeah, we played that on the cruise. It was actually a lot of fun. I liked it.
Yeah, you have to explain why you played the cards, but one person is straight up lying, and everyone has to guess who the liar is. It works really well.
That was fun.
Favorite BGG quote: I like games that make Tom Vassell seethe with anger. What is that? Did you write that?
No. It's not the game that makes Tom seethe, it's the person he's playing with.
You know, I haven't got really mad at someone in a decade probably playing a game, but in Korea it happened. We were also around each other a lot, right? So of course you'd see more arguments. We used to spend a good 30, 45 minutes every Saturday trying to pick the game out. In our room where we would play games at church, there was this big metal cabinet where I kept some of my games and Joe kept some of his games. And we'd open it up and I'd be like, how about that one? Nah. How about that one? Nah. Yeah. We could never agree.
No, and the bad thing about Tom was when this was all starting off was I'd really like a game and then I'd never see it again. Because Tom was the flavor of the month club back when we were doing this in the early 2000s.
Just as a heads up, that hasn't changed.
I noticed.
My kids, just the reason we played Detective Club tonight was because one of my kids how comes we're always playing new games? I'm like, because that's how you eat food, child. But yeah, we'll play an old game.
I actually have games on my shelves from Korea still. Quite a few of them.
Austin, I want to do a shout out. He said he started watching you guys at 13, and I've watched you since. That's pretty cool. Thank you. I actually ran into on the cruise. Were you there, Joe? I met someone from Korea actually that we taught.
Really? Oh yeah, I do remember
after
that.
You had left. Is there a recent game, Tom, that you want Joe to try? Joe, is there a game you played and loved lately that you want Tom to try?
Skies over the Reich, Tom.
Tempting.
No, I think you would. You've never played Paths of Glory. I would like to play Paths of Glory with you.
No, I have played Paths of Glory.
You did?
Okay, so you took me. Well, I think I played it with Bob actually, but you took me to when Joe and I first went to Origins. So Joe went to Origins a year before me. I was insanely jealous. And so the second year I got to go, and this was the year before there was a quote-unquote boardroom. It was 2005, 15 years ago. And so I went to the war room with Joe, and I got there before Joe did. That's what it was. And some guy was playing Hannibal, Rome vs. Carthage. And he was also playing Paths of Glory. They were practicing for some tournament. He's like, all right, I can use you to practice on. And then Joe got there later, and we played Bang. And then they kicked
Yep.
me out because I didn't have a board ribbon, and I didn't want to pay to play war games the whole time. So I
Didn't
just
you
went
play
off.
King? Didn't you play Kingmaker with me as well?
No. That's when you play with the guy who gave a flag to the winner or something.
Yeah.
No, I went back and I played in the back by the food thing in the back. That's where all the Eurogamers were forced to hide, essentially. There wasn't a lot of open gaming there at Origins. And then the following year, the Cavs decided that they were going to split the war room and non-war game room. And after 3 years, the war room just kept like whoop, whoop, whoop. And now it's like 2 tables. So that's just, that's how things go, right? There's always going to be change.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. For like a game that I want Joe to play,
He did this at Dice Tower West. You kept on saying, I want you to try this game. And I don't think it's because you thought I would like it. It's you want to see how I would react to it because you knew I'd hate it. There's multiple times you did that.
No. I don't actually. I wouldn't do that to get you to hate a game. But there was a lot of games I thought you would like. And so I was like, oh, you should try this one. And sometimes I was right, You like that little Blitzkrieg game.
You were right. Yeah, I like the Blitzkrieg game. I like Root. I hated the Domino game. The Tri-Domino game, I hated that one.
That is true.
Way too convoluted.
But I didn't try to get you to play that as much as I was just playing it and you sat down. So there's a slight difference there.
No. Okay.
Austin started watching after seeing the Memoir 44 review. Me and Joe had the biggest argument over that game.
It's not a simulation. It's not.
I can't remember. I was so impressed how much we got so many emails about that. We're like, please tell us, is it a simulation or not? We got so many emails.
That discussion's what split the wargaming out of that was when we were still more or less 50-50. That's why it was such an argument, because all the wargamers were agreeing with me and everybody else was agreeing with you, and we kept on going back and forth.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing it because of anything other than it was just good entertainment to talk about, right?
But
it's not even that. It's just that the board gaming has exploded, really. One of the things, we get a lot of negativity on the Dice Tower sometimes because people say they're kind of surface. They talk about a whole ton of different games and don't really concentrate on one. That's true, we don't. And I do that for good reason, because I want someone who's new, if they listen to the Dice Tower tomorrow for the first time, I want them to be able to understand what's going on. And I think we get so caught up with our acronyms and our terms. And it's okay if you then want to find something deeper. There's podcasts about heavy Euro games. There's podcasts about war games. There's podcasts about whatever you want, and you can find that much more focused. I'd rather be a lighter touch and do a lot of things.
Agreed.
Play any good video games. I tell you, I got this new video game, which is so fun. It's so stupid. It's called Good Job. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, so Good Job is on the Switch. And it's this, you are the main character and you're the boss's son. You're like a stick figure type kind of guy, but you're a klutz. And the only reason you haven't lost your job is because you're the boss's son. So in this game, you need to accomplish a task. So for example, in one, I needed to get a projector down to the auditorium.
This is a game, a real game?
Yeah, now listen, Hope. So this is what I did.
Come on.
I went and I smashed through some stuff because the game, you can break things. So I smashed through some stuff. I finally found the projector. It was on the second floor of the auditorium. And I knew I could drag that projector all the way down the stairs. But instead, I used a cord, set up a catapult, shot the projector through the second-story glass window. It shattered down onto the crowd below, and then I dragged it up, wrapped the cord around people, and plugged it in. So the game is like that. It's like you can do stuff, and you could do it any way you want. So it's like, get some people, like it says go around and gather employees. So I took a couch, shoved some people on it, put it in a forklift, and drove them over and dumped them into this spot.
This is what the world's come to with this pandemic. People playing games.
I love this game because what it does is you can try to accomplish your stuff in a very realistic way and not try to break stuff, or you can do it in the stupidest way possible. So I have so much fun doing that. I try to think of a roundabout way.
My brother bought me the new Access and Allies Online on Steam for my birthday. And then I play World of Tanks, and I play Magic Online, and that's it. Although
Hearthstone?
I've tried it, but it's on my phone. But it just seems like another game that I played before. It reminds me of something else when I played it. I was just like, I'll try it again maybe.
I play Hearthstone almost every day now.
Really?
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, someone asked if Joe's coming to the marathon, and the question is more so, what marathon right now?
I was.
Yeah, he was going to show up for the marathon, but the marathon has been indefinitely. Actually, the marathon was supposed to be this week. It was going to be this coming Friday.
Really?
Yeah, that's when we had it scheduled for. I canceled it a month ago. We didn't announce this, folks, again because we were still in the planning phase, and then I was like, well, guess the marathon's not happening. Well, we'll get one done. I just don't know when and where.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, he says you were out of the gaming for a long time. What's the biggest change you see in the industry?
Just the pure insanity of it all, like all the different companies and all the different games and I think the biggest thing I've seen is people talk about all the time, but it's very obvious to me, being gone for 10 years, is the flavor of the month, the cult of the new game. Maybe it's just the game's 2 or 3 years old, no one plays it. There's a few exceptions what they call evergreens, right? But that's the biggest change I've seen, for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is that way. Because this morning I looked at Knucklebones. Remember Knucklebones, the magazine? Mm-hmm. And in it I wrote an article, and I said in that article that I wrote that I was like, yes, some games are going to be gone after 3 or 4 years, and I was like, that's not the case anymore. 3 or 4 years is a long time.
I refuse to be part of that. I'm not going to be part of that culture. If I like a game, it's going to. I'm only going to have so many games on my shelf, and you have to replace a game with. I'm not just going to keep on. Oh, look, what's the next Kickstarter? The next Kickstarter. The next Kickstarter. I don't know. It reminds me of people. They get a new car every 2 years or every year.
Who gets a car every year? Who can afford that? What are you talking about? A car every year. A car for me is like one of those major life purchases.
Yeah.
Who's better at winning games? Probably Joe.
Monica.
Yeah, Monica's pretty good at games. It all depends on the game, of course.
Tom, he downplays. Tom's pretty good. He's good at seeing the different strategies, like in Euro games, where there's multiple ways. What do they call that game? Like when you have different, like not have terraforming Mars, but where you have different ways for victory path. Different ways to do it, and Tom will think of some crazy harebrained way to do it and wins. It's irritating.
Sure. Well, sometimes, but I feel like I'm really good at picking a game up pretty quickly. I just not necessarily do well at it. But also part of that is I just don't care, which is problematic. And I don't like crushing someone else. So if I see an opportunity to crush someone, I might not take it, which is problematic. There are some people though who have pushed me to the point where I do crush them. Let's see. Jerry says, yes and no. I think people like new games, but most people I've met find some games that they'll never stop playing or leave their collection. Sure. But I also think that gaming gets better, too. You can learn from games in the past and build on those. And, there's a lot to be said that, yes, there are some classics that have stood the test of time, but very few. Most games have been improved.
We just played Cosmic Encounter last week, my whole family. It was a blast. I let the kids pick any. We did the random. I gave them two or three. I gave them three aliens to choose from. They let them pick whatever they want. So we had quite a diverse group. We played with the expansion, so we had six of us playing. No, seven. We had seven. No, six playing. We had six playing.
Well, now that you've done that, Joe, next time play with 2 aliens, but the one alien power you keep hidden until you use it.
What kind of newfangled idea is that?
It's not newfangled. This was in the original Cosmic Encounter they came up with this idea. So they play with Yeah. Come on, dude. I believe I know this information. No, you play with two. I played with the designers of Cosmic Encounter at a convention one time. We played a 7-player game, and with 2 powers each. And the one guy had the power that let him see the card. You had to play your card first.
So
And he could switch cards. I was like, oh, he's going to win for sure. And so there was like 3 uber cosmic fans there. I was there, 2 of the designers of the game, and some other random guy. And the other random guy won by himself. So
speaking of crushing, I actually won that game with her. My 17-year-old daughter thought she won, and I kept on. Everyone was thinking she was going to win, and I guess they weren't looking at the map, or I mean the tracker, and so I was going to win. And no, I'm thinking of what's the other game that we just played as a family? What's the new Risk game that you don't like that I like? It's not Risk, but it's you reviewed it. I saw it because that's why I didn't do a review of it. It's the one where it's a random turn order and you use blocks, and you were mad that it was blocks instead of pieces.
You just reviewed it, you said, and then you deleted
What's that called?
it.
Yeah, because you already reviewed it. I can't remember the name of it now.
Hang on, I got it in here. Spheres of Influence. I didn't dislike
Spheres of
Influence. I just didn't like the turn order part of it.
The turn order is the best part.
Fine. Random turn order is a stupid idea.
It's not random because you get to stack the deck with you take the oil. That's the best. That's what makes the game better than.
I'm sorry. No, I did like that part of it. I thought I gave that a positive review.
You didn't like the wooden. You gave it. You harped about how to have wooden blocks.
Well, yes, because that's silly.
You gave it the Tom Vassell crush of death when you said it's meh.
No, the crush of death for a game is when it is meh, because I can't destroy a good game. I bet I gave this a seal of approval. Let me look now here. I can look real quick. I did. It's garbage. Gave it a seal of approval. Okay, well, I wanted to talk about Glowing Turtle. He says, Kickstarter has gotten silly with board games. All flash, miniatures with no substance, interesting gameplay. First of all, that's Balderdash.
Yes.
There's a lot of games there that have flash and no substance, but there's a lot of great games there. Why? Because most games are on Kickstarter these days. And there's absolutely fantastic, terrific games coming from Kickstarter. Like Joe just talked about, Root. I'm pretty sure Spheres of Influence was on Kickstarter.
The one I reviewed was horrible, though, and that's exactly what he said. It was all flash, no meat.
Well, sure, but those games have always been around, Tenjo. You know,
But Tenjo didn't have beautiful miniatures.
Yeah, Tenjo had really beautiful pieces, though. They really did.
Had a black, abstract board of Japan.
No.
Remember?
The board was awful. The board looked like a star map. I was like, why does this look like a star map? Now, this is the same thing people always say. Music today sucks. Movies today aren't as good as they used to be. Games coming out today, it's Balderdash. They're fantastic. There are more good games came out in 2018 than came out the entire 90s, probably. It's really close.
I would not gotten to 2018 yet. I'm still working through 2012.
And that's not true. I mean, not the 2000, but definitely the 90s. Definitely the 90s. Because like Joe mentioned Cosmic Encounter, which came out in 77. What other good game came out in 77? If 3 came out that year, that's an impressive thing. 3.
Probably 17. Probably 17 Avalon Hill games.
Oh, well, let's look it up here, okay? Hang on.
And while you're doing that, let me give you the inverse opinion of what you said. I think Kickstarter is the bane of board gaming. I think, and this is my limited opinion, but there's no play testing anymore. There's no peer reviews. There's no production put into this. It's just like, let's just make something and let's go sell it. We should still use the board game companies, in my opinion. Like, use Kickstarter to launch the games through the board game, the board game companies. Like GMT does. Their version of P500.
77 may not have been a good year for me to pick here because there actually is several decent games. But the number one ranked game in 1977 is Squad Leader. Then, no one plays it, Joe.
That's because Advanced Squad Leader is better.
Yes, a newer game. All right, then Cosmic Encounter, then Ogre, then Victory in the Pacific, then Rummikub, then Pente, Flat Top, Machiavelli, Rail Baron, and then we get down to games no one plays.
There's not very many at least I've seen a few things. It seems like there's not much innovation in gaming now. It just seems like re-theming,
My
mixing
word, you're
mechanics,
seeing it in a
mixing
micro. You're seeing it in a microverse.
mechanics together. Let's patch this mechanic to that mechanic, and
Sure, but that's the way it always is. What years have had all this great innovation? People say that all the time, like, not a lot of innovation. What year? Give me the year that has tons of innovation. There are these seminal points in time. Magic the Gathering, Catan. And yes, they dominate that year, but that stuff still happens. You're just seeing it in a smaller thing.
It's just like fishing. If you want to catch a large bass, you got to limit the amount of bass that are in the lake. If you have all these bass in the lake, no one bass is going to get a chance to grow and be strong and get a following, like a board game. There's so many games that are getting dropped right now. There might be a great game. And we never...
No, Joe, I agree on that, but that's a different subject. There's too many games in the market. I won't argue that. But to say they're not good is insane. There's so many good games.
I wouldn't know. How many games were made in 2020 or 2019? How many games came out in 2019?
Well, let's see. According to Board Game Geek, let's see how many. Now, this is going to include expansions. Actually, I think I might be able to filter out expansions.
Yeah. And even with the amazing review qualities of the Dice Tower and her staff, her flock of reviewers, is it even possible?
All right, so there's 4,400 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 30, 400, 4,430.
4,000 games came out in 2019?
Yeah.
All right, well, and how many of those are probably even like made by major producers or got big Kickstarter followings? I mean, you got to eliminate a lot of those.
Okay, let's take a look at the top 10 games that came out in 2019. Wingspan, easily the biggest game of the year that came out, sold 300,000 copies. Marvel Champions, the card game, super popular game. Lord of the Rings, Journey to Middle-earth, Paladins of the West Kingdom, Maracaibo, Res Arcana, Tainted Grail, Barrage, PAX Premier 2nd Edition, Clank Legacy, Tapestry, Parks, Cartographers, Horrified, and Zen Legacy, The Crew, Tiny Towns, Azul, Star Wars Outer Rim, blah, 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 blah.
The other problem with gaming today is shelf space. Like, it's a finite problem. How many games can a person own? Like you've got a whole studio of games in a giant multi-thousand copy game library, but your average guy. Right here. Oh yeah, and your storage unit with if you're hankering for a particular game, you can go to the storage unit and go get it. But your average person,
I do not do that like I did today. Actually, my daughter was upset because she went to play Apples, and it's not here. We actually don't know where it is. I was like, all right.
It sounds like I'm shilling for the Dice Tower, but it just seems like when we did the Dice Tower, it was for fun, for the love of the hobby. Now it seems like a necessity. Like if I'm a connoisseur of board gaming or I'm just a hobbyist and I want to learn to play, I want some games to buy, there's thousands of options. I need Tom Vassell to tell me if I'm gonna what I should buy. I mean, isn't that what the Dice Tower is now?
Sure. Well, Mike says Tom's whole business is FOMO, so he's biased. That's not quite the case here. Yes, the more games there are, the more people probably want to watch reviewers. All right, so there's no question on that. But I don't want there to be a million games so that the Dice Tower does better. I want there to be fewer better games, for sure. And companies that have taken a step in that direction, specifically AEG has done that, they're doing really well. AEG's put out some really great games.
I just watched a documentary about Apple Computer a couple days ago, and it's perfect. They were interviewing Wozniak, and he was saying, I got into the Apple Computer when it first started for the love of designing computers and making computers, and Steve went into the business of the gaming, or the business of Apple Computer. And that's when Wozniak left, it went all business. It's kind of what board gaming has become. Like when I was doing it with you, it was for the love of games.
Yeah, but that's something that's always driven me crazy. You can love something and still want to make money from it. So I don't understand when people are like, oh, Fantasy Flight is making too much money. How is that a bad thing? Do we want the people who make the games we love to be poor?
No, but I don't want them just producing all these games because it's now an economy. It's like it's all these business models.
Who makes the call as to whether the game is why the game's being published? So I could say, oh, you're just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. And the publisher says, no, I'm not. Well, it's my... I don't know what his innermost thoughts are.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like it's changed to me. Like
Well,
we were
either
looking for...
way, to me,
we're trying to find...
For consumers, it's not a bad thing, though. So you got a gazillion games. You can buy the ones that you like. You have a better choice nowadays than you ever have had in your life before. And you have sites like Board Game Geek where you can look at the top ranked games, which are several war games too. So
it's like even review. Like you type in, you go to any game and type it in on YouTube, and just taking Dice Tower out, there's 75 other guys who have talked about this game, and there's other podcasts and other reviewers and da. It's like back when we did it. It's like going out to eat. My wife and I want to go out to eat. Where should we go? So we open the newspaper to the critical column, and there's a review of 2 or 3 restaurants. Oh, I'm going to go to this one. And now you go down, it's like going to Las Vegas Strip. There's just like games everywhere. Restaurants. I don't know where to go to eat. I don't know what game to play. And I have to like
pick one and have a good time at that one. That's what I don't get. I don't get that you have
because they're $50 or more per game now. It seems like all games, the price of games have all gone up. And I've got limited shelf space. And there's a plethora of people doing reviews. So, you know, I got to be frustrated for, like, if I didn't have you as a friend and know about the Dice Tower.
I don't disagree, Joe, but if anything, that's going to change. I think we're going to see a major shift in the industry. We're going to see fewer companies. But right now in our society, we made it really easy to get from people
victims of depression, the pandemic depression that's coming. First victims of it, gaming.
I don't know about that, but I'm saying it happens in every industry. Like on TV right now, there's way too much to watch.
Yeah.
You know, you have tons of options. When it comes to reading books, there's a gazillion books. The outlet from the to the consumer is much shorter.
It's a good example, Tom. Netflix. The Netflix produced shows, 90% of them are junk. They're just not worth your time to watch. But there's a few gems in Netflix that they produce themselves, and I can't watch every single thing on Netflix hoping to find a good one. I have to go.
So you go by the way we've always gone, word of mouth. My friend says this is really good. You told me to watch, what's that show? Space show?
The Expanse.
You're not the first person to tell me that. Many people have told me that. So I'm like, all right.
Now that I've said it, you'll probably do it.
That's funny.
It's not. Yeah, I understand your logic. It just seems that there's just so much that the quality. I can't buy the fact that the qualities remain the same as it was when there was a smaller amount of games coming out, more time was being spent play testing and developing.
There's literally no proof to the opposite. There's no proof that in the year 1995 games were just simply better, because it's not true. Because they're building off of these old games. They're learning. The component quality, for one thing, that's not even a debatable thing. Component quality now is better than it used to be.
Look, that's for sure. But in the wargaming world, it's your world is thousands. Even in wargaming, though, it's become this way. Like all the wargame companies, they got the GMT and all these not Avalon Hill, but like Multiman and all the different companies, Avalanche. There's so many games that are coming out, and it's just like maybe it's just magnified in my world because war games take more time to develop and to play test and so when you're just mass producing war games.
All right, but even for me, so on the Dice Tower, I get, on average, 15 games a week show up in the mail. That average has considerably gone down. It's now like
that's a lot of trees that have done.
Four games are showing up now about per week because a lot of companies have put their things on hold, and I still am 100+ games out. So I get it. There's a ton of games out there, so I go by presentation, games that look interesting, games whose designers I know. Are some games unfairly lost in the thing? Yes. What can we do about it? But I think when it comes to the gems at the top, I think they're just amazing. Frosthaven's going to probably break $10 million for one board game. That's crazy.
Maybe I'm just going through culture shock still with the board gaming community, how it's changed. I feel like I go to the Dice Tower West and I look at all these games. I feel like I'm when me and you were doing game, when I walk into Walmart aisle and there's all those Parker Brothers games. Are these all Parker Brothers games? Why is there so many designer games now and so many games to look at? So, yeah, I don't know. Time will tell, I guess.
Alrighty, well, that hour went by pretty quickly. Thank you, everybody, especially Joe's extended family, showing up and saying hi. Thanks for all the good questions. We had a good time here. We'll have to have Joe come back in the future. We'll be doing this every night, folks. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So, and also tomorrow at 2 o'clock, me and Rado go off again, taking a look at another something or other. Your sound went off, Joe. What's up? Did I lose your sound? Did I lose my sound? Could you hear me? Oh. Well, I guess you'll have to wave goodbye to everybody. I don't know what happened there. All righty.
Yeah.
Oh, no, now your sound's back.
Hey! I was asking you, why is it taking you so long to call me when I'm your oldest and bestest friend? and the founder of the Dice Tower. Co-founder.
Well, it feels better. I did, before you, the last person I picked was just me by myself. I would pick even that over
I'm
you.
in conversation, I imagine, just you talking to you. Because I know you love to talk.
All righty. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Until then, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Joe Steadman. The Dice Tower.